I'm Chris Alvarez. I'm here at Anime USA 2019 with Faye Mata. Thank you for speaking with me.
Hey, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Cool.
Nice to meet you, Chris.
You too. So first, how did you get into this? I know you started out as a professional gamer. At least that's what I read.
No, that's it's been a very interesting journey. But I was always very much into video games growing up, and for me, voice acting for video games was like one of the coolest things. I fell in love with it through like Star Fox 64, where the entire cast was interacting with each other. Like you would, if you were damaged too much, they'd say, "Oh, I got to get out of here," or like if you shot someone to help your ally, they'd compliment you. I always thought that sort of thing was really cool. So, before even pursuing it as a profession, I just kind of played around with my younger siblings. There's 4 of us siblings, and I would just imitate all the characters with them. And I think a lot of friends and siblings do this, where you just kind of mess around and make voices or imitate meowing cats on the street or whatever.
Animal noises.
So that's kind of how that whole like a love for voiceover started. But yeah, getting into it, and there's so many different parts of that journey. I took acting classes.
Okay.
I entered a contest at Anime Expo one year. I just did stuff for fun online for a while on like Newgrounds. But I would say that it wasn't until that Anime Expo contest where things really started to take off. I auditioned for Magi at the time, and they really liked what I did, and so they started emailing me more opportunities, and then from there I started booking more roles, and I ended up getting an agent. I'm currently represented by Abrams Artist Agency in Los Angeles. And yeah, it's been a really cool trip doing lots of fun voices in things that I grew up with, things like Sailor Moon, or even just being in video games like Star Fox 64. I'm not in Star Fox, but to be able to play characters that interact with each other and be part of creating that world, and then having people come up to me at these conventions and telling me similar stories to how I felt just playing games with my siblings and how I enjoyed voice acting in games. It's kind of just like come full circle, and I have to just super appreciate that, and I get really emotional over it.
No, I understand. It's a cool journey, like you say.
Yeah, it's wonderful, and I'm super humbled by it.
So what do you think, were you successful, or have you been successful because of something about your voice, or is it the acting, or what do you think your strengths are that really stood out to be able to do this? Yeah.
So for a while, I kind of just I knew that I had a talent for just imitating sounds, at least within certain ranges, and then making, how do I say this? I don't know. I think I have a pretty flexible range. But what I wanted to say was I didn't know for a very long time what exactly my strengths were. I just knew that I liked to do it. I liked to act and to create. And then I didn't really recognize what my strengths were until I started booking more often, like more gigs. And then I would look at what I booked and what I did not book, because you audition way more than you actually get a role. And just logically you see what is the common theme in all these things. And so by now I know that I tend to book young voices, young heroine type voices, usually very energetic. That's usually what it was, but it's kind of turned a lot lately. Most recently I voiced Petra in Fire Emblem Three Houses, and she's she's a much more serious character, but she's still, very, very genuine, very, like you would want to hang out with this person kind of character. I guess you call it like Girl Next Door or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. But I've also played really wicked characters and characters with huge turns. In JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I play Yukako Yamagishi, and she's a yandere character where she seems really, really sweet at first, but then she just turns into this wicked, like, oh my god, is this the same person? It's just terrifying. Yeah. Her hair goes everywhere, but she's just obsessed with Koichi, one of the characters in the show, and so even for those characters, she's not entirely evil per se, but she just loves him so much that she would, do crazy things to get his love, things like that. Yeah, I would say I play a lot of characters that have turns. So I've done quite a few idol type characters. So Rin Hoshizara in Love Live was my first idol character. Actually, that's not true. My first one was in Neptunia. Which one was it? Her name was Ai Musujima. And she actually had a turn where she appears to be like this really happy idol type girl, but she secretly wants to steal everyone's energy or something like that. I forget what it was. That was a long time ago. In Sword Guy on Netflix, I played this girl called Midoriko, and she's like a professional fighting gamer, but she's also an idol, so it kind of blew my mind. And she also has this big turn where she's like, oh, thank you to all my fans, but then she's like, I hate everything. I'm not like that, I swear, I promise.
But you do it well.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's something really fun about playing characters like that. And honestly, it's like a big gift to be able to play characters with huge ranges. Actually, so possibly my most popular character right now is Aqua in Konosuba. And she's supposed to be this goddess, right? And typically in anime, the goddess trope is like, oh, they're so perfect and they are all powerful and they like give gifts to everybody and everybody kind of like looks up to them and they're amazing. But Aqua is such the whole point of the character is it's satirical. So she is useless. She is kind of a crybaby. She whines. She's not very helpful. When she does try to use her powers, usually things go wrong. And there's such a range that I get to play with Aqua because she's really happy one moment, but then she's crying, and then she's angry, and then there's a part where she's trying to get people to join their guild, but their guild is it's just full of useless characters or just kind of misfit characters that nobody really wants to join the guild. So even as her, I got to pretend that she was multiple people, saying like, oh yeah, this guild's great, you gotta join the guild, we're so strong. Yeah. And I did that in like a few different ranges in one of the earlier episodes. And then at some point she even sings. So yeah, I think characters with big ranges are a total gift to me, and I'm so grateful to be able to play multiple characters like that. I would say that Bang Zoom often casts me in roles like that.
It sounds like you also do roles where the character feels a lot of, like, they switch their attitude, but then they feel guilty too, so you have to play that whole, like, oh, what did I do wrong?
Yes, absolutely. And it's fun and an interesting challenge because you never want to go too far where it's too comic-like, you have to still kind of feel everything that they're feeling so you can empathize and connect it to reality in some way, and that's part of the fun for me. A character that, oh my god, this is my least favorite character, but she was definitely an interesting challenge. I voice Myne in Shield Hero, who is this the short version is that she is like the King Joffrey of anime. Everybody hates this character because right in the first episode, she accuses the main character of rape, and it's like really serious and terrible. But she's like the princess of the land, and she seems like a really kind girl at first, but then she just totally screws him over. And that actually is a catalyst for the main character, Naofumi, who is the Shield Hero, to I don't know, he's like really edgy all of a sudden. He's like really jaded and dislikes everyone because everybody has turned against him. Like a lot to do with because of her, because everyone believes her.
Right.
And so he has to go through an entire redemption arc, which is basically the story. Like, it's about him. And yeah, so to play such a wicked character that I personally don't agree with her actions, that's really tough. So yeah, I guess I can say I've played a range of different characters, even ones that are like really, what do you call it? Kudere, I guess, where they're very they're not very expressive.
Okay.
Which is its own challenge, because you have to try to convey different emotions while being kind of monotone the whole time. Yeah.
Have you had any mentors, older voice actors who've helped you along?
Yeah. Oh my God. So I actually take workshops all year when I see them of people I respect. I first started with school. So in middle school, high school, and college, I took some classes. But out of that, with anime, I trained with Tony Oliver. Every director I get to work with has been a mentor to me. Alex Von David is a wonderful one. Keith and Valerie Aram in PCB, I think, were fantastic mentors, not just for the acting part, but for things like ethics in acting and protecting your voice when you're screaming for video games and things like that. Yeah, and there are different. I've learned from so many people who have different strengths and their own preferences, and that's something that you also learn. That you might think that there's a lot of people think that there's like a certain formula for how you do some of this stuff at any time, but if you see some more recent, I guess it's not as recent anymore, but things like Adventure Time or Bee and Puppy Cat or whatever, that it's really up to the creator for the style that they want. Like a lot of that, the tone of those is kind of, or even Steven Universe, where it's not so, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like a different quality, or even they want to hear it more thrown away rather than super thoughtfully crafted, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it could be like your friend. I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, I learned many different techniques from a lot of different mentors, and I actually keep a spreadsheet of all the people I've trained with or just worked with. I try to always write down who even like the engineer was who was working with me at the time on what project and the client, and a lot of that. It's like I don't even advertise that anywhere. It's just for me. I don't know. I'm weird about it. I think I just like to. It's kind of like how people keep scrapbooks or photo books. It's like memories for me. And it's like, oh, I remember this project. Who did I work on that with? And then I just see the names and I go, oh yeah, that was really fun. And usually it is really fun. Because I love just getting to know the people I'm working with and cracking jokes in between, time permitted. Because I don't know, there's something beautiful about just creating something together, and it's a lot more collaborative when you get to know each other. To a certain point.
So do you do anything special when you're in the studio recording? Do you wear any costumes, have any props? Do you get up and stand or, act it out? How do you perform? Yeah.
I don't wear costumes, but I do try to, I think I get pretty method with a few things, which does make some roles kind of tough. I have to also try not to, when I see the character, I try to imitate what they're doing. I think that's the short version. So if someone is using 2 daggers, for example, and fighting like this, it has to be, actually, that's a good example. So depending on the weapon that they're using, it sounds different. So if you have a giant sword, it'd be like, because there's some strength to it, right? Yeah, you have to lift it. There's a lot of weight there. But 2 daggers in your hands, they're a lot swifter. So I might actually take 2 pencils or something and just do this, and try to capture the movement just through your voice. But yeah, there's some times where I also have to be careful to not go, like get off mic or something.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because sometimes it's tempting if your character is, like, you see your character getting thrown back or something, and you go,
yeah.
That you stay on mic, and there's just like some techniques to that.
Just from the sword effect you did, the heavy sword, I could feel the power of your voice, through that. I felt the strength of it. So. Yeah.
Oh, and there's so many different ways to just make exertion sounds. Mm-hmm. Like casting a spell. That's not something humans might be able to normally do. But like I've played enough video games and seen what it should look like mm-hmm. to at least imagine. Mm-hmm. If it takes effort to swing a sword, if there was some kind of imaginary resource like mana or something that a person has, mm-hmm. it still might take some exertion. So even to cast a spell, it might be like, So I think about things like that. I go super into it, but it's really fun for me.
Do you work out or do anything physical to help make your voice stronger?
Well, I am a serial singer. Okay. So I live about 45 to an hour and a half minutes away from most studios. Mm-hmm. So I always have a drive, a commute, and I'm alone in my car. So oftentimes I'm warming up in the car. I don't usually do straight up warm-ups, but for a while I did like Hamilton. So there's like rapping and some singing, and really through that you are warming up everything. Right. So I guess I do that mm-hmm. for warm-ups. I try to drink tea with honey. Mm-hmm. I like to do that. I just like tea also, I just do that. Mm-hmm. And I guess just I know my limits too. So I know what it feels like when I think maybe I've been screaming too much that day or something. Mm-hmm. And then just through doing it and knowing my limits, I know how to schedule things better. Because there was a time where I was just like, oh my god, I love video games. I just want to stack all the video games back to back to back. But if you're screaming that much, you're hurting yourself, and you're also sacrificing the quality of your voice and that game. Right. Like the performance that you're not giving your best performance. So I started to just schedule things more spread out, and my agent helps with that. Okay. Yeah. So I guess those are ways I prepare.
Okay, that works. So have there been any sounds, not necessarily voices or sounds, that you've had particular trouble with? Anything that you really had to work on to get right?
Oh, sounds that I yeah, and there are still some things that I'm still trying to work on, but I think it's less. Oh, okay, no, sounds for sure. I still can't roll my R's very well, for example. Okay. Mm. I won't even try. It's embarrassing. But the thing that came to mind first are accents. Mm-hmm. So something that might be interesting is because we're in the age of the internet and people can look people up and everything. It's and just for other important political reasons, people are trying to cast more to ethnicity. Because if there's an Asian character, they probably want an Asian person, and people can see whether that is an Asian person or not. And you'd think like, oh, well, I mean, and it's just voices, so like, can't it just be, anybody? Right. But I won't super get into it because I could have a whole panel on that sort of topic. Yeah. But basically, I get a lot of auditions that are Asian with Asian accent, and I grew up in Wisconsin, so I have the ethnicity check, but my accents are not that great, and I want to be honest about that. And also, it's not I don't know. It's such a strange thing because I think most anyone could also learn to do an accent. But I particularly get a lot of auditions for Asian characters because of those reasons, and I feel this kind of pressure, but also desire to get better at those accents, especially my native ones. Okay. So yeah, it's that I would say is a tough thing that I'm trying to work on. In the last project I just did, my character had a Japanese accent. Mm-hmm. And I have Japanese in my blood, but I wasn't born there. I visited Japan a few times, and sometimes I'm a weeb. But otherwise, I don't have the best Japanese accent. Or I think I could, pretend, but there's something in my own head that, people who are actually from there or have a good ear for it will just tell that you are not genuinely Japanese. And so I get, just from a performance standpoint, I don't want it to be half-assed, you know? Yeah. But anyway, my last role where I had to do that, there was actually a coach there present, which was wonderful. She was able to just, like, if I said anything incorrectly, she would be like, oh, say it like this. Like this. Not like that. But like she would actually do it. It'd be amazing. And then I would imitate, and they'd be like, oh, that's spot on. Okay. And maybe, I don't know if they were being nice enough. but it was cool. She was also apparently, okay, this is like a humble brag moment, but it was just really cool to me. She helped train Hiro in Heroes as well. I don't know if you remember that show with the superpowers. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I thought he was genuinely, like, originally Japanese. She coached him to speak that way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. So it was really cool to work with her. She's so sweet, too. Anyway, cool. I'm getting off topic.
No, that's fine. So what role have you not done that you'd really like to do?
A role that I have not done that I'd really like to do.
Or maybe that is maybe it's already passed and done, some old game that you'd have, if they redid it, reissued, you'd love to do.
Oh man, this is always tough because, well, it's also kind of nice to look back and realize a lot of the answers I would have given for this, I have had the honor of like having a role or a similar type of role. Because the way I would think about it would be, I would like to play this kind of archetype. For example, I always wanted to be the lead of a JRPG and like play as my own character and do that. And I accomplished that through a game called Atelier Fierce. And it was so cool because I could like see my own character, run around, play with her, and she would interact with things and say something every time. And it wasn't like it's a pretty niche game actually, but for me, I don't know, the best part to me is the creation of it. I don't really mind if it's popular or not. But something that was popular is Sailor Moon. I grew up watching Sailor Moon, and I never thought I would get to do a voice in Sailor Moon ever. But the last season of Sailor Moon, Sailor Stars, was so controversial years ago that they never dubbed it. So then over 20 years later, they finally dubbed it. And it just happened to be during a time where I'm a voice actor, and I got to audition, and now I am Sailor Aluminum Siren, and like childhood me is still glowing over that fact. It's insane. I always wanted to be a fighting game character, and I got to be Nico in Dead or Alive 6, who was the new character in the latest version of it, and she's all blue, and I'm obsessed with blue, so it's just kind of like a bonus thing for me. That's nice. I always just wanted to be an original character for something and not just like dubbing over something, so I could just help create the original version of that. Right. And I got to be Lulu in League of Legends, a video game, and just to see people come out with fan art of this character, or people trying to imitate doing her voice, making their own videos on YouTube and stuff. It's really cool to see all of this, and I just feel really special when I see this stuff. I always wanted to. Sorry, this feels like a list of humble brags now, but really, I'm having a moment. I'm just it actually makes me feel so proud, just to know that like Dreamer me has actually gone through and started to do these things. I wanted to be in a Nintendo game, and I just got to be in Fire Emblem Three Houses. my favorite series of all time has been Super Smash Brothers. I'm a big fan of that for multiple reasons. The game is fun. The characters are beloved. I played it with my family, and I participated in a really big community around it and held my own tournaments back at home and traveled and competed and stuff like that. And there are Fire Emblem characters in that game, and that's where I first heard of Fire Emblem anything. Yeah. And so to be at least this much closer to being in Smash Bros, for example, is a thing. Oh, there's an answer. I would love to be in Smash Bros. Yeah. That's a very long answer. No, but to ideally like an original character that ends up in Smash Bros is the dream. For anime, I usually say if they ever remake Magic Knight's Rayearth, I would like to be Umi Ryuzaki. But yeah, it's been a really, really cool trip, and it's really cool to even talk about it because I'm starting to realize a lot more as I'm just speaking about it. Because I don't know, week after week when you're just acting and things eventually come out, sometimes I don't even know the release dates of these things. It all kind of flies by, and I don't think I take enough moments to go, oh, wow, I really did all this in the last year. Yeah. So it's kind of surreal. Yeah. But I'm super grateful.
Yeah, I'm going to predict that you're going to be in a Super Smash Brothers game. I have a feeling.
So. I would love that.
It feels like it's the right trajectory.
Yeah.
We'll see. So where can people find you on the web? Obviously, you have a list of credits, but do you maintain your own Twitter website?
I'm definitely on Twitter. I tweet a lot. At Faye Mata, it's my name, Faye-Mata. And I'm on Instagram as Faye Matata, like Hakuna Matata. Yep, those are the main places. Yeah. Okay. I'd say follow me there. It used to just be Twitter, but I've tried to be a lot better about Instagram, and I've been posting more. Actually, like in the last 2 weeks, I've been posting more stories.
Oh yeah.
Because it's weird. Instagram has like the main gallery, and then stories, which are kind of like quick flash, like you watch it. It's like Snapchat stuff where you see it and then it goes away in 24 hours. Yeah. And other platforms like Facebook started doing it too. But even for really random silly things that should probably be a story, I would just put it into my main gallery. So some friends gave me crap about it, and they're like, dude, some of these should just be stories. I post a lot about food, and like I'm one of those. I know. That's ridiculous. But.
So they're saying it's not good for permanent record. Just give us a thought and then let it go.
Well, they weren't actually criticizing me, but, they were just making fun of me because most people would only make a story out of it rather than put it in the permanent gallery.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Like I'm on my way to Anime USA. I put it in my main gallery. They're like, just make a story. Oh, but it's part of history.
Yeah. They need to just let you be you.
I know. Well, I also learned that you could save stories into a collection. So if I really wanted to save it permanently, I could make like a anime convention history of stories and put them all into a folder, pretty much. Anyway, all this is about social media and getting better about it. I'm working on my Instagram.
we're all trying to get better at social media.
Yeah. Well, what's your thing, by the way?
So my webpage is basically Myne. So CrisAlvarez.com. I have a podcast, which I've just recently renamed Full Contact Nerd. It was more.
I love it. Full Contact Nerd.
So I have to give props to a buddy of mine who kind of worked with an idea I had, and he gave me that idea. But Instagram, Cris Alvarez Sci-Fi, and I'm on Twitter, which I don't use much, and Facebook and all that stuff. But we're all of us are trying to learn how to get more followers and likes, and, so that's all the questions I have. Do you have any last words or thoughts?
Go to CrisAlvarez.com or Full Contact Nerd.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and check it out.
And go to Faye Mata at Faye Mata and Faye Matata.
Yeah, that's
Instagram,
right.
Faye Matata.
And just like keep a lookout for some cool stuff. I've been working on. I always tweet about what I'm working on. I'll make posts. I'll try to make stories more. More of it. Yeah.
Ignore the voices. Just
yeah. And Astolfo loves you.
What's that?
Astolfo. It's a character from Fate Apocrypha.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's a very optimistic, happy character.
Oh, cool.
And I love him very much.
Okay. So, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks so much for the interview.
Thank you for watching this video version of Full Contact Nerd Interviews. If you like this episode, please subscribe for more. If you want daily book suggestions for new fiction and nonfiction studies in sci-fi, fantasy, horror, mysteries, gaming, game design, film history, and more, please check out my YouTube channel, Cris Alvarez, my website, chrisalvarez.com or fullcontactnerd.com, and my Twitch channel, Full Contact Nerd. If you're looking for new military and general history books and information, check out warscholar.org, my YouTube channel, warscholar1945, and my podcast, Military History Inside Out. If you want new technology, science, and space books, check out technologyandspace.com and my podcast, Technology and Space. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to keep imagining the past, the present, and the future.